Hi, Mom. Okay, so I assume you've been practicing, which maybe isn't a great assumption, but I'm just gonna pretend in my brain that you've been practicing and that that's been going well. So I wanted to review what we kind of went over in the first lesson and kind of address your concerns that it's a lot of information at once. The first thing for these, I don't. Okay, I don't want you to be concerned with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and what fingers to use for playing the notes. For all I care, you can take a pencil and go. We are just concerned with learning the names of the keys right now. So we're not really doing like actual piano technique. It's more like knowledge about the piano right now. So I wanted to review last time, so I have written out. I will write this in the description of the video, I think. Hopefully that's helpful for you too, or I can... Yeah, I'll just put it in the description because I think that'll be fun. Cool. So let's review our musical alphabet. So as you know, we don't use all 26 letters on the piano. There's no Z note or anything like that. So we only use 7 letters, the first 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then that repeats over and over and over again. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Or backwards, right? G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Cool. So let's talk about what I want you to do warm-up wise to kind of get your mindset to be ready to look at a piano for an extended period of time. It's just that black key exercise where you're practicing doing the group of 2 and group of 3. So I'm going to take a moment, kind of do it myself. I'm actually going to start at the very bottom. I'm going to start with just my right hand. Let's see if I can frame my camera with me to do this. Cool. And now I'm going to go through and do it with my left hand. If you need to, pause the video and take your time to do this, but I'm just going to kind of show you what I'm doing. Well, that was kind of jazzy, wasn't it? Cool. So the whole purpose of that isn't even to work on playing technique. It's just to kind of make it easier for you to see that there's groups of 2 and groups of 3. It's not like a playing exercise or anything. It's just kind of warm up your eyes to the physicality of the groups of 2 and groups of 3. So it's easier to locate notes. It should make it easier for you to identify those white key by name more accurately. So keeping in mind that we only use 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we just repeat them. We're going to kind of review the... what did I want to do? Yes, we're going to review our white keys. So I know for a fact you know C very well, so we're just going to start with C. So if we look for the group of 2, it doesn't matter which one, but if we look for the group of 2, and we go to the left of the group of 2, this note right here, let's use a pencil, maybe that'll make it clearer. A pencil. This is C. Here's our group of 2, C. And then it just goes in alphabetical order. So now if we're starting on C and we're ascending, so we're going to the right, it just goes up the alphabet. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So I'm going to do that one more time. And notice how it doesn't, I don't care what finger, you can use your thumb. C, D, E, F, G. So right, we're at the end of our musical alphabet, so now we need to start repeating it again. A, B, C. So those are our basic white key names. There's nothing super complicated about them. Cool. So a good way to practice it is to do what I just demonstrated twice, is to go in order, which I know you've been doing, and it's the easiest way to do it. So doing that a few times is kind of a good way to warm up if you're still not able to kind of just look at a key and know which note it is. So just starting at what note you're comfortable with. For you, I know it's C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. You certainly don't have to go that fast, and if you want to pause to kind of do that, feel free to do so. What would be good about that is, even though this is probably the most common place to start the piano, another good exercise for that, just to kind of help drill it and make you more familiar with the rest of the keyboard, is to do it in different octaves, right? Let's try the octave up. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So if you feel like that's like way too easy and you can always do that 100% correctly, the next step of that kind of exercise going in order like that would be to start on a different note. So in this case, let's start on A, the beginning of our musical alphabet. So A, if we look at this group of 3, A is between 2 and 3, right here. So we have our group of 3, and it's between 2 and 3. The other way you could find that, right, is if you go to C and you can just walk up to A. C, D, E, F, G, A. So let's find our A, and then we'll do that go in order exercise. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And let's try it in a different octave. And as you need to, you can pause, rewind, it does not matter at all. So here's A, right? Group of 3, it's in between the 2. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Cool. And so if you feel like that's very easy, try a different letter. Let's try from G, right? So if we need to find our G, we go to the group of 3, and it's between the first 2. Group of 3, and it's between the first 2. The other way you can find that, right? C, D, E, F, G. You can go in order. Or maybe you're really comfortable with A is. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G is right there. So once you find your G, we're going to just do that go in order exercise. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And a different octave. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So don't be concerned with what your hand is doing. If you have to go, that's completely fine. We're just concerned with memorizing the names of the white keys in a usable way. Cool. So I'm not going to go through every note in the ascending exercise, but that's a good way if you feel these next exercises are too hard. Just keep doing that go in order exercise. The next thing you can do with the go in order exercises, so far we've just been going to the right, but you can go down the alphabet too and doing the alphabet backwards and go to your left. This would be a descending scale or a descending pattern. So let's go back to C, right? C, and let's practice it going to the left. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And if you do that to the right rhythm, it's actually Joy to the World. Aha. Anyway, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And then you can do the same thing like we did on the other ones. You can start on different notes. So let's start on A. A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. If you find going backwards is much harder than going ascending, you're going to want to practice that. It's just going to help you be able to identify the names of these white key notes. If ascending is really easy, but you feel like you can't pick them out, but descending is really hard, then descending pattern would be the next one to work on. Let's go from G. G, F, E, D, C, B, A. And don't worry about your fingers if you have to, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. It's absolutely fine. Once again, we're not concerned with playing technique at all right now. We're just learning the white key names. Cool. So let's get into some more advanced exercises. So you can practice identifying them in what we would call thirds. This is where you're skipping one key and identifying the third key. So if you were to put 3 keys down right next to each other, you would identify the first one and the third one. And you would go up the keyboard doing that. So if we start at C, we would skip this one, just skip one white key and go to the next one, right? So we have C, E, and then skip this one, go up to the next one, G, skip this one, go up to the next one, B, skip this one, go up to the next one, D, skip this one, go up to the next one, F, skip this one, go up to the next one, A, skip this one, go up to the next one, C. And now we're back at C. So let me just take some more time to explain that. So it's called thirds because if you were to count, this is not with fingers, I'm just going to use numbers because I have to, but it's called thirds because you're skipping a note. So you're going the generic interval of a third. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. See how there's one white key in between each of these? Those are called thirds. So let's do that one more time, very slowly. So we're going to go C, and then we're going to identify the key 3 keys over, right? So 1, 2, 3. C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C. And then if you feel like ascending is really easy, practice it descending. C, A, F, D, B, G, E, C. Cool. So that's thirds. You can start on different notes as well. Let's start on A. That seems like a good one, right? A. So then you can do that, the A in thirds. A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A. And then if you're really good at that, you can go descending. A, F, D, B, G, E, C, A. Cool, so that would be thirds. And so then another exercise, if you get really good at the thirds, but you still feel like you're having trouble, another exercise you could do is fourths, where you're doing every 4 keys. So you would be skipping 2 white keys this time. So if we start on C, we would go C, the 4th key, F, 4 keys over, B, E, A, D, G, C. Oh, and that left the camera, so let me do that again. Let's see if I can do it lower. Cool, so I'll start in the C over here, see if that stays in camera. C, skipping 2, F, skip 2, B, skip 2, E, skip 2, A, skip 2, D, skip 2, G, skip 2, C. And then you can practice that descending, right? So C, skip 2, G, skip 2, D, skip 2, A, skip 2, E, skip 2, B, skip 2, F, skip 2, C. And then you could do that in fifths as well. So I'll start down here and hopefully, I might have to move the camera, we'll see. Right, so if we're doing fifths, now we're gonna skip 3 keys. The reason that it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is because the first key you play counts as 1. And that's true with the thirds and fourths. The first key you play will always count as the number 1. That's not a fingering thing, that's a interval thing. Don't be concerned with what fingers you're using to play. So C, and now if we're doing fifths, we would skip 3, so 1, 2, 3, would be this one. G, 1, 2, 3. D, 1, 2, 3. A, 1, 2, 3. E, 1, 2, 3. B, 1, B, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, too close. So 1, 2, 3. F, 1, 2, 3. C. And then you can do that descending as well. I think you kind of get the idea with that. If you have any questions, please let me know. But those are all different ways you can practice. And then there's another way you can practice, right? So if you're identifying one at a time and you're going in order, and I assume you usually start with C, which is absolutely fine. Start with what you know with, and then grow from there. C, instead of just doing C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, or C, B, A, D, F, E, D, C, if you feel like that's too easy, go to C, and then play all the C's that are on the keyboard that are possible. So we know C is the left of the group of 2. So let's go to the very bottom of the piano. So this would technically be a group of 3. So we know this isn't a C, but we see a group of 2 here. So we have C, group of 2, 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 C. And so then we have a group of 3 here, but there's no more groups of 2. But this top key, if you have an 88 key piano, which you should, this last key is also a C. Cool. So we went through all the possible C's. So now we should know C like really well. And you can do that for all the notes. So, and you can go in order with that as well. So if we want to do D next, right? So D is in the middle of the group of 2. So we go back down to this bottom. That's not a group of 2. Here's a group of 2. It's in the middle. D, D, group of 2, 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 D. There's no more groups of 2, so there are no more D's after that point. And then you can do E's, right? So E is to the right of the group of 2. E, group of 2, 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 E, group of 2. That exercise where you identify all the possible keys that share the same name is probably one of the easier ones to do, but it's probably the most effective at helping you learn if you were to just look at a random key and being able to identify it quickly. Because instead of practicing it just once, where you're going C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, where you're practicing C at least twice. For instance, the C, you practiced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You now practice that C 8 times on 8 different spots of the keyboard. Some of them will be less than that because obviously the piano isn't infinite, but you're practicing that same key and identifying that same note multiple times in a row. So practicing it in all the octaves is a really good way. Let's do one more. Let's do G. So G is, if we look at a group of 3, it's in between the first 2. So G, group of 3, it's in between the first 2. G, group of 3, it's in between the first 2. G, group of 3, it's in between the first 2. G, group of 3, G is in between the first 2. Group of 3, G is in between the first 2. And then group of 3, G is in the first 2. And then we can see my floor. And you can do that descending, right? So a lot of these I'm doing ascending. You can also do them descending as well. If you feel like ascending, you got it, but descending is harder. Practice with descending as well. My hope is for at the end of this video with all these practice techniques, or if you've just been trying to play along, which if you are trying to play along, I would pause the video in between each exercise I'm explaining and try it yourself. My hope is by the end of this video, you can really solidly identify the white keys with 100% accuracy. There's just 7 of them. If that helps, there's just 7 of them. And Gestalt psychology says that you should be able to memorize 7 plus or minus 2 very easily. So there's just 7 of them. So hopefully with the practice you've been doing, this video really helps you solidify that. Next lesson, assuming we've kind of feel very comfortable with the white keys, we will go on to the black keys, which have special rules for them. All of the black keys have at least 2 commonly used names. Some of the white keys have multiple names too, but we're not going to worry about that. But the black keys all have at least 2 different names, unfortunately. And so that's why we generally start with white keys, because it's just easier.